My name is Tate Hieronymus. I am your host, and I am co-hosting with Richard Turgeon. How are you, my man?
What's up, Tate? Good to see you and hear you.
Yeah, likewise. Uh, so we've known each other online for a little bit, and then we actually met in Bluff Creek this past summer. Well,
Yes.
2020. Well, it'll be by the time this airs, it'll be last year, so 2023 July. So we met up there, had a group of people just hanging out. So it's been good and stuff like that. And so I was like, I really want to do this new podcast, and I was interviewing somebody you know and really admire as a person who's into TV and film yourself. So I was like, you know what? I'll ask Richard to join me in co-hosting today. So here,
Nice.
here you are.
May I ask who you're interviewing or no?
Yeah, so he has a small role in the TV show. Well, like he'll explain more, but like on screen, he's in a few episodes of Better Call Saul and Breaking Bad. His name is Jesus Payan. So
Oh, that guy. Yeah. He's awesome.
he,
He
oh
played Tuco's henchman,
yeah, Gonzo. So
Gonzo.
and so we don't want to keep Jesus, so we're gonna have Jesus come on here and say what's up.
What's up?
How you doing, my man?
I'm Harry. Well, not as much as I'd like to be, but you know.
Man, I got too much hair on my head. It was in my face today trying to work and everything. It's kind of annoying.
It still grows in the right places per se, but I've had so many fights and craziness bodyguarding that I have scars all over my head. So that I'm missing pieces, like little areas. It's weird. So if I grow my hair, I just look great. So
For what it's worth, you have a good scalp. Nice, smooth. Yeah, good shape. If I shave my head, it would look terrible because I have such a wee tiny head. It gets a little conical up top.
that's how the rock. So it's not that bad.
Yeah.
Or if you're into Bigfoot, that cone shaped head, they're gonna have that. Yeah.
Right,
Yes.
right. Pretty popular in that world.
Small version.
The small version.
Yes.
I mean, can't,
What?
can't complain about that though.
Right.
So I have a ton of questions for Jesus on two of my favorite topics, Bigfoot and Breaking Bad, Tate. And Jesus, just so you know, Tate reached out to me last night about this, and I was like, that's a huge responsibility. I'm a huge Breaking Bad fan. I've watched the series straight through twice. Actually pretty recently too. I was talking to Tate about that on our Bigfoot trip. But yeah, Bigfoot, Breaking Bad. I don't know where you want to start. And Tate, I don't want to step on your toes if you have questions lined up, but I'm full of questions for Jesus. But I'll let you kick things off.
No, I mean,
Okay.
if you want to take the lead, Richard, go for it.
All right, cool. Well, first of all, and I might be repeating some things that I said
No worries.
to Jesus Tate before you while you were getting some beers or whatever, but like huge honor to meet you. And I actually really appreciate your acting on the show. One of my favorite lines was one of your sort of like throwaway lines when you're like, I don't know, Tuco, it doesn't seem very Christian, right after he kills somebody. But I loved how sweet you seemed and almost like this like sweet and innocent side while this guy's being murdered in front of you guys by this ruthless drug lord. But just always appreciated your presence and of course you were perfect for the part. You looked the part. And you probably had no idea that you were on such an iconic show or what would become such an iconic show at the time.
Not at the
But
time.
anyway, yeah, I just want to say a huge honor to meet you. And I don't know if you wanted to talk about the show first or Bigfoot first, because that's what Tate and I have in common. That's how we met. And so maybe we start off with how about a basic question for the audience just to fill them in.
Works.
How did you get involved in the Bigfoot topic?
I got involved in the Bigfoot topic when I was about 4 years old because I read the book Mysterious World by Arthur C. Clarke. And that was my introduction to Bigfoot. And then I studied Bigfoot just through books until 2000. And then in 2000, my mom got a job with the Forest Department in New Mexico, and we moved to Ruidoso, got a cabin. And that was the first time I heard Bigfoot actually with my own ears. And then after that, I couldn't stop searching, being in the field.
And how old were you at the time?
That would put me at the time, sheesh, 24.
24 years old.
Yeah, 24, I believe. Yeah.
Now,
But if I can do the math right.
did you know anything about Bigfoot when that happened?
Yeah, well, I knew the basics. Like I said, I had only known what I had read throughout my, childhood up into teenage years, and then for a good 4 years of teenage years, nothing. I wasn't learning crap. I was just being a stupid teenager, and then got back into everything, when I got in my 20s, and yeah. So when I actually heard the scream, the first time it did it, we were like, "What the hell is that?" And then it did it again. We were like, Bigfoot. And I ran inside the house and jumped on the internet and looked up vocalizations, and I found one that exactly.
Did
So
somebody that you were with point out to you, like, oh, that sounds like a Bigfoot to me, or was that a conclusion that you drew, or was that something they had heard before?
Well, it was me, my mom, my dad, and my sister. We were all together. That, not a very common thing, as in our older age. But my sister was a police officer there in that town, and they get reports. They were getting reports from Bigfoot reports from them getting people's yards and stealing dogs or whatever, and same thing with the forest department. And but we had seen, like, grew up watching Harry and the Hendersons, and hearing the Sierra sounds, and just a few things that got out there in public before the internet happened. So, I had a basic knowledge of Bigfoot, but not nowhere near in the the way I know Bigfoot now.
Now you're an expert. Yeah.
Oh, something like that.
So when you heard it, I assume you were pretty sure you knew what you were hearing, just from like, that sounds like something that I don't hear in the wild. Your sister's heard reports as a police officer, et cetera. And that kind of started, it sounds like a lifelong fascination.
Oh yeah, for sure. And the way it sounded was like, imagine if you're going 75 miles per hour and you had a really straight road that went downhill, and you were able to control the skid, but you just slammed on your brakes and went all the way down. And kept on skidding and screeching and skidding. And no, he didn't that long. I couldn't. I sing, and I know how long I can sing and hold a note, and it not even a quarter of what that was. And then it did it again. And after the first time it did it, the whole forest shut up.
Bugs, you said it was singing, like kind of like a sing kind of howl.
It was a real high pitch, like it went, like, but really long.
Okay.
But real long. At least it seemed like forever, but it was probably like 20 seconds, maybe 20 seconds.
Yeah, it will seem like forever when you're hearing something you don't ever like. You're not familiar. Like, this shouldn't be out here in the woods, but I'm hearing it, and it seems to go on forever. And then, looking back at it, it only is like 5-10 seconds long.
We're living at towards the top of the mountain in a valley. I was a night auditor for the Best Western Swiss Chalet on that mountain, and so I was all night and got to hear all kinds of weird crap. But yeah, that was a weird spot to live. If you don't mind me telling a quick story, I just think it's odd and interesting.
Please do.
All right. So once upon a time, I was in that cabin, and my room was the bottom floor, or what we call the basement, right? But it was like mud flood status windows, you know what I mean? Where just the windows are on the ground. You can look out at the floor.
Like a basement. Yeah.
Yeah. So the cabin was on the top. And one night, I think I'm dreaming, right? And I hear something knocking on the window. And I get up out, off the bed. I believe I'm dreaming at this point. And I walk over to the window, and it's a full moon, so it's kind of bright outside, and there's a bear knocking on the window, and it's telling me to let it in. And I was like, it literally was talking. That's why I was figuring this was a dream, And it said, "Let us in. We're hungry." And I told them, I was like, "No, this is a people house. You're bears. You can't come in here, you know." But he kept on saying that. I'm not trying to be funny or nothing. This is how the dream went. And he says it again, "No, come on, let us in. We're hungry." And I looked past him, and the one that's talking to me, a really dark black, like a black bear, And I looked back at the end of our grass is the tree line, and there was a big cinnamon colored bear sitting on his haunches, telling him, "Ask him again."
Wow.
Right? And I look at him, I go, "No, you guys are crazy. Go, I'm going to bed." And I went to sleep, right? Well, in my dream. So we wake up in the morning, and my mom calls me. She's "Mijo, get up here. There's some crazy stuff going down." And I was like, "What's up?" I ran upstairs. I was like, "What's up, Ma?" And she's like, "Come outside." And she takes me outside, and the whole cabin around all the walls, those are cream colored wall, siding, um, muddy bare footprints all over the cabin and all the windows and walls on the outside. Yeah.
That's crazy. Now, I don't know. I don't mean to test everybody's beliefs here, but I have heard stories of shape shifting and whatnot. Bigfoot shape shifting into bears and vice versa. I don't know if you've subscribed to that point of view, Jesus, or if you have an explanation for what happened that night, dream or no dream.
Well, at this point, everything that I've experienced in my life through Bigfoot and ghosts and UFOs and aliens and apparently now werewolves and all kinds of stuff, I can't say for sure that that's not possible for them. I don't know until I can ask one. You know what I mean? I'd like to believe that they're just physical and only specific ones can do that. Like because they have their own medicine man, shaman, and I'm guessing they have bad ones too.
Mm-hmm.
They just run amok in the forests. And yeah, so for me, because I am Mayan, I'm native, and I do believe in all the old ways and all the ancient history that we have, and I don't see it as myth, you know. So yeah, I say it's very possible. It just depends on which one it is. I don't think they all can do that stuff. I think only specific ones. Just like I think only specific ones are interacting with the grays.
Mm-hmm.
Then yeah, there's so many different possibilities. Like one of the interesting things that I threw out before was that the ones that are, they say they see orbs. People say they see orbs and
Mm-hmm.
Bigfoot orbs and stuff. You put orbs are usually in the world of spirits,
Yeah.
And what if we're dealing with not just physical Bigfoots, but spirits of Bigfoots
Yeah.
from that area, because they die too. And we have, spirits of ours. Maybe some people believe they're all demons. Some people believe some of them aren't.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know officially, why can't they have ghosts too?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
And you hear more and more about this stuff since the internet, you could search for these eyewitness accounts and people are trading stories, and now there's YouTube. And so I feel like it's really brought people together and things like this. The Stranger Side, there's this documentary out by a guy I interviewed, really talented director, Brett Eichenberger, Paranormal Bigfoot. You probably know of it.
I know
Jesus and Tate. Yeah.
I interviewed
documentary.
Interviewed his wife Jill. Me and Robert interviewed her, and she talked about that stuff. And so that the whole first documentary was more just like the flesh and blood, but this one goes into the paranormal. The second one that's coming out,
Mm-hmm.
and so I was like, I'm pretty excited to see that because. And honestly, I liked the film. It was really good, and so yeah, I'm curious to see what's going to be said in the second one because thinking about it, well, kind of what Jesus said, orbs and Bigfoot, sometimes they happen in the same area. A really crazy place, a couple of crazy places on the planet when it comes to Bigfoot, mainly Bigfoot, is Shasta and orbs and stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that. And so when I was in Florida with Alex Petikoff, I know Jesus knows Alex. I was with Alex and Eli, and I heard some Bigfoots down there with RPG. Um, Another guy, James Brost. And then later that night, me and this guy, James, we saw an orb. So I don't know if they're connected personally either, but it's crazy because the thing, because Jesus mentioned, like, I think the Sierra sounds, and there's there's talks that, like, that's, there's something paranormal going on with that. I think Ron Moorhead is kind of has spoken something like they're paranormal or something like that,
Mm-hmm.
because the way they were throwing their voices, it sounds like they were throwing their voices really close, but they were so far away. That's the other thing I heard about Bigfoot. They have the ability to throw their voice, which is basically meaning, like, correct me if I'm wrong, it's like you could be like in the next room, but if someone's in the other room, like 2 rooms away from you, and you start talking, and it sounds like your voice is in that room, that's like throwing your voice. It's weird to describe it, but that's kind of what that is.
The most, I would call common version of throwing voices is done by ventriloquists. Um, they do two versions of ventriloquism is actually just not moving your mouth and talking. And then there's actual ventriloquists that know how to throw their voice to where, so when you're in their presence, it sounds like it's coming from over here, talking over here. But yeah, a real skilled one. That's one of the skills of a very, 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 very skilled hunter of different tribes. That was normal because you had to be able to hunt and fool the animals and fool other people and stuff. So that was a little trick that was done in the tribes. So I don't see that as that weird for Bigfoot because
Yep.
he's a tribe. He has a tribe, he has clans, and knows all the same stuff in times 10 than we know.
I don't think throwing your voice is that weird, because then you got like I think Bigfoots can also do infrasound, like big animals. You think like elephants, that's how they communicate for long distances. Lions use infrasound.
Tigers, yep.
Tigers, and I don't find it impossible that a Bigfoot could use infrasound to catch animals like deer or rabbit, because I mean, you always think of how does a Bigfoot catch a deer? A deer 9 times out of 10, if it gets away, they're faster than, I'm sorry, but they're faster than a Squatch. And so there's got to be a way a Squatch can hunt more efficiently. I think infrasound is one of those methods.
Well, just like leopards and tigers, they can sometimes kill their prey before they touch it. They're pouncing on it, but it's already had a heart attack because they're using the infrasound and paralyzes them. They can't move. So what I was wondering, okay, on the level of infrasound, if they're, say it is infrasound that's going down, right? And they're not just an elephant or a tiger or whatever using infrasound like normal, but because these are intellectuals, these beings, okay, they actually know that they can toy with it and mess with it and adjust it to create different responses in other creatures, right? So what if one of them, because this is just, wild idea. You know how the majority of Bigfoot hair samples, how they're hollow, like fiber optics, right? Okay. So what if they're able to emit a frequency that shakes all the hairs on their body so perfectly that it appears they're disappearing and they blend into their surroundings?
I can see that.
This is the kind of stuff that's coming out, though, that, I'm a child of the 70s. And so it's like, all are the legends and flesh and blood and sort of written accounts and newspaper articles that aren't shared super widely. Obviously, Bigfoot is a worldwide global phenomenon, but I do feel like we're pushing into this realm of many people having these common experiences that go into this paranormal realm, like orbs and infrasound and cloaking and connections to UFOs and all this other stuff that we didn't hear too much about, before maybe the last, 10, 15, 20 years.
It's still a very taboo kind of topic, and
It is.
I think in general, I mean, if you look at the whole Bigfoot subject, I mean, at this point, we really can't say what Bigfoot is. I mean, and that's why there's so much speculation. Can it cloak? Because you find tracks and they don't lead anywhere. They've never found a body, but at the same time, it's leaving physical evidence, providing that it could be a physical thing. And so there's no really one way to tell what this thing is. So it's all just speculation. And then for the speculation, there's different camps of people. And I'm glad there's different camps, because those people can look into that, and then other people can look into, if they think it's flesh and blood, they can go down that road.
No, for sure. We need the fresh eyes, all different versions, because like we get stuck in our ways and we'll start to ignore certain things because we think it's so stupid or ridiculous, and like we're barely getting out of the age of saying, "Oh, that's the woo." You know what I mean? Now we're actually looking into it scientifically, not just being ignorant dumbass. Like, no, it's wrong. They're stupid. It's like, come on, man.
But unfortunately, there's a lot of that bickering back and forth with people, and that doesn't progress stuff. It actually is like it makes people kind of bitter towards research and not wanting to produce evidence if they do get it.
That's why I think it's stupid. Saying woo, that was so annoying. So many people are doing that crap. Like with me on my on my channel, when I was, for Breaking Bigfoot, the things that I share with people, it's not to convince people that Bigfoot's real or UFOs are real or whatever the hell I'm into, at the time I'm filming. It's literally I'm just sharing what I've experienced or what I possibly think there might, an idea or what, literally just what's happened to me. I'm just sharing that stuff. I don't give a crap what anyone thinks. If they believe it or they don't or whatever. It's out there for people to learn from it if they choose to. If not,
Well said. And I interviewed somebody well known in the community who is very steadfast about like the woo thing, and they don't go there and all this other stuff. But to Tate's point, I think it helps to keep an open mind. And I call myself an aggregator. Tate and I have talked about this, how I look for patterns. You start to read and hear about eyewitness accounts, and they start to add up and build on each other. That's data that's hard to ignore, right? Just like I don't believe in leprechauns, but I believe in Bigfoot because we've heard thousands of people share these experiences.
Yeah, there's a reason there's sighting. Like, it would be one thing if it's like maybe 10 sightings through like the last 24 years, but it's sighting after sighting each year. And I mean, I would be pretty safe to say that to a certain degree, it's almost positive these things are flesh and blood for sure. Because a flesh and blood animal leaves tracks. They're making, people are seeing them. People are taking pictures. They break branches. They're leaving hair.
Monster turds, man.
Monster turds. It's so like there's physical evidence to back the. Yeah. So there's physical evidence to back the existence of this creature that could possibly be real. Exactly. But then what we don't know is its attributes. That's when it kind of gets into that, the woo kind of thing. The whole side of Bigfoot and the research on that side, because we don't know.
Well, it's like I would, at one time, I thought the thought of Bigfoots and aliens hanging out being just ridiculous. Okay. And I was studying alien abductions. This is, a while back in the mid 2000s. And I experienced that stuff. So doing what I'm doing, I really, studied the hell out of it to make sure that I wasn't, losing my mind. And I started reading and hearing about reports of people saying they see Bigfoots in some of these ships that they're being abducted in by the Greys. And I thought it was ridiculous for a woman. I don't know, but even though I see aliens in it, that's just silly, you know. And then in 2017, I got pictures of Bigfoots hanging out with a green-skinned, red-eyed. I don't want to call it a gray reptilian, whatever, but it has the same shape head as a gray with the same shape eyes, but green and red eyes. You know.
Did it kind of look like the creatures from Land of the Lost?
Sleep stacks.
Florida, yes, two facts. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So this experience you had when you were 24 or so, that was New Mexico, you said?
Yes.
And then you had another experience that I read about. I haven't had that much time to research every detail of your past, but I was able to do some reading. It sounds like you saw Bigfoot from 10 feet away. Can you tell us more about that experience?
The closest was about 4 feet, and then the one that was 10 feet away was, I believe that's the when we were doing the genome submission for the DNA samples with JC Johnson.
That wasn't
And
with Meldrum, was it?
yeah, she was working on. She was the DNA
No,
specialist for that.
no, was Jeff Meldrum? Was he there, or was that a different thing?
It was Robert Kreider, me, JC Johnson, Dr. Uh,
Melba Ketchum?
Christopher Dyer. Melba Ketchum wasn't there in person, but she was working on. That's who we're
The
submitting
testing, yeah.
samples for that night. And yeah, we ran into a Bigfoot. I'm interested in communicating with them. I'm not just like, there's Bigfoot, woo, that's cool. It's a Bigfoot. I already know that they're Bigfoots, and I know that they're out there already. I want to establish contact, and see, just how sentient they really are. And so when I heard a noise to my left, I was sitting on this rickety little bridge. Um, I heard, some rustling of the brush, and I was like, well, that could be anything. It could be a cow, it could be a mountain lion, it could be whatever type of animal. It was about 1 or 2 in the morning. It was really cold, like 22 degrees, full moon, and I thought to myself, what could I do that a Bigfoot could do? Because I know that they like to mimic, you know, and not too many animals uh, are good at that at a level, to where they can recreate any bird you can imagine.
Unless somebody set their like pet parrot out loose or something.
Right, right. And it's running around in the bush at nighttime.
Right.
So I made a noise like this, went like this, made a noise like that, but I went tap, 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 right? And nothing. So I did it again. And then it did it back. And I was like, oh,
Was it 3 different taps you did?
yeah. So it did it back. We did it back. I did it back and forth. We're doing it back and forth. I'm freaking out because it's a Bigfoot, or it's somebody hiding to screw with us. It didn't make sense, you know what I mean, at the time. So Robert had crawled off down this little cow tunnel and was calling me he was like, Jesus, come over here, bro. This is Squatchy, bro. And I was like, no, come over. You come here, man. And he was like, no, come over here. Be Squatchy. Come on, man. And I was like, no, get over here. The Bigfoot's over here. And finally he comes over and he's all, come on, Jesus. Just go this way with me. And I was like, it's right there. And he just looks at me like, man, you're so full of shit. And I look at him and I get the thing in and I go, right? No, nothing. Yeah, nothing. And I'm like, come on, Bigfoot, don't do this to me now. Messed up, right? We're jamming, dude. So I do it one last time. Because Robert's just, got his cigarette falling off his lip and he got his beer and he's just like, I'm like, ah. So I do one last time. And you just hear one loud, just one though. It sounded like a pissed off, angry one. You know what I mean? Like, man, And Robert looks at me and I'm like, right? And he just jumps into the bushes. I mean, literally jumps off the little bridge, woohoo, into the bushes after the Bigfoot. You hear the Bigfoot stand up and take off, all right, through the brush. And Robert, stops and he's like on his hands and knees and he goes, dude, I found where it was sitting. It's still warm. And I'm like, yeah, because the Bigfoot was sitting right there, fool. He's like, I'm going to go after it. And starts clawing off. I'm like, oh, my God. I'll go around and head him off at that. Right? And I walk around the little trail area because like it's like an irrigation ditch, right? So it's not a giant river or nothing, nothing like that. That's to the left. But there's an irrigation ditch and there was a rickety bridge that was constructed from 2-foot wide in diameter PVC pipes with like metal rigging, And so right around the way was down the irrigation trees on the right side, trees on the left side, and then 30, 40, probably 50 feet is the trail after the tree. You know what I mean? Going alongside with the irrigation. So I go around the corner. Remember, it's a full moon, so you can see kind of through this area of the trees, right where I went around. You can kind of see through it because of the moonlight. And I stop and I hear Robert go, see me? I'm looking right. I'm like, oh, yeah, you're right there. Damn, you look big, man. The moon's making you look big. Because like Robert's a little dude, you know what I mean? He's littler than me. I'm 6'3" at the time, like close to 400 pounds. So he's like, I don't know, 5'8", 5'6", somewhere in that world. Thin guy, not a big old chubby guy. And he goes, no, down here. Mara's still up pointing at what I thought was him. And I look down and he's down here on his knee, hiding under a tree branch. And I'm like, oh, you're right there. Oh, it's right there. Get out of there. And he runs out. And then you hear the Bigfoot go through the bushes again, straight farther down. He takes off running down the trail, Robert. He's like, come on, let's get him. He's 30 clicks or something. That way. And we go running, right? And I'm kind of jogging. I weigh 400 pounds. I'm more like chug-a-lugging, And he goes, stop right there, hold perimeter. I'll go around. And I was like, okay, bro. Whatever, Robert, you wacky guy. And I stop and I'm just chilling, just looking at darkness because this part, how we went down farther, it got thicker and thicker. So it kind of, I guess it would be like if you're looking down at it, you would have where that little bridge would be the beginning of a triangle shape. And the straight down, or I guess more, well, I'm going to get into geometry now, but we'll just say triangle, okay? So going straight down is one of the sides of the triangle. And then at the bottom, you have a wider, grouping of the trees. So you can't see through it like you could see through it where I first saw them, under it. So I'm standing there. And being a big guy, I'd been security and a bouncer forever and bodyguard. So I stand around a lot, stand around a lot. And after you stand so long, in your heavy set, you want to move your foot, step to the left or something, because it just hurts. So that's what I did. I took a step to the left. And I hear something take a step in front of me. But I can't see nothing. It's like good, 10 feet-ish there. I had it like into the bush, and I'm like, is that it? So I do it. I step to the right, and it steps. I don't know which way it's stepping. I just can hear it step, But I'm imagining in my head that it was copying which way I'm stepping. So I did it back again, and then I did it again, and it copied each time. And now we're kind of having fun. I'm like, hey, I'm dancing with a Sasquatch, and, just forgetting that that's a freaking giant Sasquatch right there that I can't see. So I take another step and I wait for it to make its step, but this time it takes like 2 steps forward. So now it's at the edge of the grass where I'm on the dirt trail, and it's right there. And the moon reflects kind of off the face a little bit. So I can see how big it is. And that was really big. So it was, I'm guessing 7'4", somewhere in that world. And it's just standing there. It's not like going, nothing like that. I don't feel queasy. I don't feel weird. And I'm just like, oh, wow. And then you hear Robert yell, they're coming out. They're coming out. And he's running. He runs by me, smacks me in the back. Run, Jesus, run! They're coming out. And he's gone. Right, not realizing I'm standing right here next to him. And we both are looking at him run. And I look back up, and I just go like that to him. Bye. I didn't know what to do, So I just walked off. Didn't chase me. Didn't follow me. Yeah. So that, to me, later that night, one of the Bigfoots threw a rock about, I don't know, that big, about that big, at Robert's crotch, hit him in the nuts, and they didn't like him for whatever reason. They didn't like him, and but he kept on going out there and poking him, So they finally just say, "Hey, that's enough," But yeah, that was a time that I saw him there. I've had multiple times that I've experienced them in person, not just hearing them or
It's
seeing evidence.
it's it's pretty freaky to experience something. I think Richard could kind of attest to that a little bit when we were in Bluff Creek this past summer. Had some weird stuff happen in the middle of the night, didn't you?
I did, and I like the first one. I know what I heard. I had an audio experience. I guess it was like 5 years ago, 6 years ago, and I know what that was. And I wasn't squatching or whatever. I was in a location where I knew there was a sighting at some point, and I wasn't expecting anything. But then when Tate and I did our trip in Bluff Creek, Six Rivers National Forest, I can't say for sure what I experienced that night was Bigfoot, but we've talked about it. I talked to everybody in our camp about it. I was the only one in a tent. Everybody else was in a car. Tate's a night owl. He's watching his DVDs in his truck the whole time. So nobody heard anything. I heard a rock, a big one, land near my tent. I heard other rocks throughout the night. I heard something walking outside my tent. I thought it was a bear or Tate taking a leak. Nobody was out there. So I was frustrated. There was some really weird stuff going on that night. And I told everybody about it. I said, I'm not saying it was Bigfoot. I'm not making up stories. And I was actually a little frustrated because Jesus, I don't even want so much to interact. Like my desire would be to see one and just experience one. And I've had these kind of third not close encounters of the first kind. I'd call them second, third, audio and this other weird stuff happened. So actually that leads me into my next question for you, which is, it sounds like there is some degree of predictability with you in this experience or that party. And I was wondering, was this a known hotspot that this person or group took you to, or is that something that you sought out and led the group there? Like, how did you manage to make those interactions happen?
Well, what happened, excuse me, was there had been some Bigfoot reports on that ranch, and they had done, I guess, I think it was Finding Bigfoot had visited that ranch and did an investigation. And so that was where they chose to do the DNA submissions. And we weren't supposed to go Bigfoot hunting. We were supposed to just go sit by a big ass bonfire, drink beer, and
Get
submit
interviewed.
the DNA. And I was I couldn't do it. I was like, we are in a Bigfoot zone.
Mm-hmm.
I done drove 800 miles for this. I'm gonna go look for Bigfoot. So I got my Bluetooth speaker and I started playing audio of Bigfoots because in my I don't try to fool Bigfoots.
Mm-hmm.
I'll say that right now. I do whoop, I do howl and whatnot, but I also add in English. I
Mm-hmm.
speak and introduce myself wherever I do go, and I let them know that I know. I'm not there trying to fool them and hunt them, like, because they're not stupid, man. They
Mm-hmm.
know what their intentions are, for pretty well, from what I can tell.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so everybody was like, "Are you Jesus? You tripping, man? Stop that!" I was like, "No, I played it real loud." And then, yeah, we heard some returns, and I went in, and then Robert followed, and he broke out his equipment, and yeah, and that's how I guess we called them, and um, the other experiences that I've had, again, the same thing, call out to them, let them know I'm there. When they showed up at my tent, there was two Bigfoots in that green skin, red eyed, whatever the hell we want to call it. Um, I invited them. I called them. I recorded it, me doing it, because it was. I thought, he was using a filter from Facebook, and it was funny, But I was seriously calling them, because the person I was with didn't believe in Bigfoot, and yeah, I was like, "You really want to camp out here?" And I've been I've been researching that area for over 10 years,
Mm-hmm.
and
You're like, yes, I'm gonna camp here.
I was like, "All right, not a problem. I don't mind, but you might not like it." And sure enough, that dude gave me his tent the next morning, and he never spoke to me again.
It's just ouch. That kind of you mentioned Finding Bigfoot, and so like I remember when Finding Bigfoot came on, I watched and bought every episode as it was coming out, and it's crazy. It wasn't after I actually got in contact with you and started talking with you that you're like, oh, I was in a Finding Bigfoot episode, and it was like the second or third season of Finding Bigfoot, and it was the first time Finding Bigfoot went to the Four Corners.
Yeah, the Four Corners episode.
Yeah,
I gotta see that.
and then you were I can't who you were with somebody. It was a female or a woman. Yeah, you were with her, and they were interviewing about some stuff you guys heard and all that. And I was like, yeah, he really is in this episode. And so like that was before Breaking Bad, I'm assuming, or
No,
what?
that was after.
Oh, it was after.
Yep.
Okay.
Breaking Bad, and we did like in 2008, and then it didn't come out till 2010 because of the writer strikes and this and that and blah blah blah. But yeah, so it was a while ago. It was a while ago I did that one.
Yeah,
Started acting 2006. Yeah.
that makes okay. So 2010, because Finding Bigfoot came out in 2010, but that episode you were on probably
It
didn't
was
even it didn't even.
season, I believe it was season 6, the Four Corners.
Well, they did two Four Corners episodes because I think near their end of the seasons they went back for a 2 hour special, and it was like during the summer. But they were there the first time like during the kind of like fall winterish time. So yeah, you were in that episode, and I was watching that, and I was like, yeah, this is Jesus is in it, and yeah, like you said, Breaking Bad, what you said aired in 2010. Finding Bigfoot did. So by the time you were in the episode, yeah, it was like probably from 2011 to 2013 or something.
Yeah, I had went down there to help Brenda and teach her how to pass footprints and all that fun stuff, and they showed up at the same time, and it was funny because Cliff, they're driving to meet with me, and Cliff goes, well, or is it Cliff or Bobo? Bobo
Bobo.
says, he says, this guy calls himself Jesus, and and uh, and Cliff goes, well, I hope Jesus knows what the hell he's talking about.
This is That sounds like those guys.
Yeah, right. Because I had told her because they're all worried about saying my name in English and all that crap, and I was like, dude, it's okay. Have fun with it. It's not a big deal. And yeah, so they did, and Christian groups lost their mind and were trying to boycott Animal Planet or
Oh man.
Travel. Yeah. Well, yeah, Travel Channel, right? Yeah. Trying to boycott them because they said that it was sacrilegious for me to go by my name in English because I'm obviously not native.
Right. It was Animal Planet. They
Animal
were
Planet.
they were on that network forever. Did you ever like keep in contact with Cliff and Bobo still? Do you ever keep in contact with them today or
Yeah,
no?
we don't like chat it up on the phone for hours or nothing, but whenever we pass by or I see them online, I say, "What's up? Hope you guys are doing good. What's up?" Nothing too in depth, but we do say hi and talk still. Because
Mm.
every once in a while I got evidence I just want to throw at them and see nobody show it.
Right.
And Tate and Jesus, how did you guys meet through the Bigfoot topic?
There was this bar, okay, and they were giving out shots for $1.
I believe it was
And
good.
God.
this is when Jesus was bouncing still. He kicked me. He had to kick me out, but then we became friends after. No,
Is that true?
No, no, that's
Oh, I was gonna say that's a good story.
that's a better story actually. But how we met is because Alex Petikoff, he had his YouTube show and he interviewed Jesus. And I was like, dude, I gotta contact Jesus. So I reached out to Jesus, and Jesus and I started talking. And that's how we kind of got to know each other, and just kind of bantering back and forth about Bigfoot and stuff.
That's when I realized that Tate was a broham. So I was like, that's my hope.
Yeah.
We said we shot Bigfoot, together one day. But until then, just by audio and visual video.
Yeah.
Our paths will soon cross.
They will. They will, mind you. There will be another Bluff Creek situation in the future. But I'd love you guys to come down over here. Because
I have
Amen.
plans to. I have plans to.
I'll
meet you there.
Right? You remember the movie Congo?
Yeah.
Okay.
Michael Crichton.
That's what's going on here. Like that movie. But the white apes are Bigfoots.
Nice.
We've got the Mayan temple and everything that they're running through and living in. Yeah. Well, at first we just thought it was just the tunnel systems they were using. And then I found out that a large part of this mountain range is actually Mayan temples and giant pyramids and stuff. It's just been buried by dirt. Yeah, so
Wow.
You sent me pictures of those the other night. Because
Mhm.
I called you the other night, and you're like saying you found some like kind of ancient ruins, more or less.
Yeah, ancient kingdom, pretty much. Huge. Makes Chichen Itza look like I don't know, Tallahassee. But it's a lot smaller than what I've discovered here. We're talking about miles and miles and miles of carved out.
Right. Right. Um, Richard, do you have anything else to add before we move on to the TV side of Jesus?
That's a good segue, because I was going to ask if we wanted to shift gears and talk about that a little. I know I do, but again, I don't want to supersede the Bigfoot topic, which was our primary.
I mean, like, it's whatever. Like,
I'm ready to go. I'm ready to get into Breaking Bad and
Breaking Bigfoot.
I like it. Well, Jesus, I've got a few. Again, thrilled to meet you, and I wanted to ask, like, how did you end up on the show? I assume that you auditioned for it. Was it one of those things where it was like a cold call, and you showed up in Albuquerque or wherever they were casting, or LA, or was it like you had already been acting and you were called in by your manager or agent or something like that?
What happened was the first movie I ever did was called Urban Justice with Steven Seagal. Okay. and I had just decided 30 days before that to become an actor, and 28 days later, I got called to be an extra. Showed up to the wrong side of the whole set to where the trailers were. They thought I was Danny Trejos, put me in his trailer. Then they figured it out, and I didn't lie to them. They didn't say his name. They just said, "Who are you?" And I was like, "I'm the bad guy." They're like, "Makes sense. Come with me." Yeah.
Okay.
So and they took me over to where the extras are supposed to be, and there's a car upside down on fire, and Steven Seagal's kicking someone in the nuts, and just people standing around by a train yard, and yeah, the long story short, the lady that discovered me that day, um, she was a casting director for Breaking Bad. So after I did that movie,
Nice.
by the end of the day, that first day I ever went, I ended up getting my SAG card, speaking role, fighting role, became a
Wow.
stuntman, and everything. So I never got to be an extra. Literally, just showed up
Yeah.
that day. But that's how I met her. Her name was Sherry Rhodes, and she like casted Close Encounters with Third Kind, Terminator, Urban Cowboy, a bunch of just
Wow. Big
amazing movies.
name.
Oh man! And one day she calls me and tells me that she's got this thing for me, and because we became friends, and she's the one that taught me how to act and audition and all that stuff. And whenever she needed help carrying things, she
Yeah.
she'd call me. I'd show up, hey, what's up. But yeah, so she hit me up and said that there's this show called Breaking Bad. They don't know if it's going to even get picked up. It's pretty edgy stuff. And this guy named Vince Gilligan wants me to play some dude named Crazy Eight. And I was like, sure, right? So uh, month passes, and she says, talk to Vince, and he said that he wants you to just hold on. He has a different role for you.
Mm.
And I was like, mm-hmm.
Mm.
Could have just said I ain't get it. You
Yeah.
ain't got to build up my hopes and dreams.
Don't humor me.
You know? And no, sure enough, they ended up, like I said, calling me back because it was such a long process making that show.
Oh, I'll
And
bet.
yeah, they said they want me to play No Dose. Okay. So I get hired as No Dose, and mid season, this writer strike happens. And then we come back, and they tell me that I'm not going to be No Dose anymore. Now I'm Gonzo, switching places with Cesar Garcia. I was like, what? I go, well, the script calls for No Dose to carry Gonzo's body around the junkyard because Tuco's going to kill him. Cesar Garcia, again, is like 5'6", 150, 160. I weighed 400 pounds.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, he couldn't carry me around the junkyard. So they said, we're going to switch you. So
Nice.
you get to live a little longer, you know? So I was like, cool. And that's how I became Gonzo. And nobody noticed. Even though in the credits in the first season, I'm No Dose the whole damn time. Get called No Dose in it. And then second season, yeah, now I was
Oh,
Gonzo.
that's funny. Yeah, you
Yeah.
jumped like 4 rungs of the Hollywood ladder in 9 years or so in a very short time, just running into a casting director, who's
Yeah.
that prominent. What brought you to the Steven Seagal set as an extra in the first place? Was that like an open on call type of thing, or your
Well,
friends
what happened was
invited you, or?
my sister, it was a sheriff at the time in Bernalillo County and in Albuquerque. And she told my mom that they got hired by the union or whatever to patrol the set
Mm-hmm.
for a Steven Seagal thing, and they're passing out flyers that said that they needed thugs and gangsters for extra work. So
Okay.
we're supposed to be in East LA in the movie. So they did a big old cattle call, and show up to this hotel, and there was about 600 people that showed up, and you just big giant
Wow.
line. Go up, they take your picture, you sign your information, your name, that's it. And they're like, okay, if they're going to use you, they'll call you. Move the hell out of the way. Next, you know? And yeah, I had made a bet with my dad. He said I had 30 days to become an actor in a movie, or I had to go work for him at the sanitation department, and I had to start at the bottom. He said, no favors. And I was like, oh man. And he was like, and you have to cut off that stupid goatee, and had a long goatee. And I was like, shit. So on the 28th day, I got the phone call.
That's super cool.
You know what I
But
mean?
you did set that intention for yourself. You were like, I have this idea. I want to be an actor. And how old were you at that time?
I was 30.
30. Interesting. And what had you been doing before then?
I was a bodyguard, bouncer, cooler, and a federal detention officer.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
incredible.
So like when you do films, do you like try to go audition for other stuff, or is it usually a typecast thing at this point, or like do you kind of fall under that umbrella?
The majority of the time, I'd say 95% of the time, I'm the bad guy. I'm a bad guy of some sort.
Hmm.
Like I did that TV show, The Night Shift. It's a hospital drama for the military, and I played the main character TC's best friend, his bookie. You know what I mean? Definitely typecasted. Halfway into my career, it started to bug me because I became so known with the youth and visiting schools and doing stuff that it started to freak me out a little bit because I was a bad influence.
Hmm.
So for a little while, I said, no more bad roles, only just good ones, normal ones. So I did maybe a couple movies in like 4 years, and I was like, well, gotta pay bills. And I was like, okay, I'll be the bad guy again. They're like, yay, giant Mexican bad guy's back. And got a bunch of roles, so now I don't really care. I tell all the kids, if I visit any schools, I let them know I'm an actor. I know I look how I look. I am a gangster, but you don't have to be a lowlife to be a gangster. You know what I mean? You be a good person.
Yeah, you could totally have like a monocle and wear a top hat and be a gangster. It's not unheard of.
Mm-hmm.
The
Yeah.
Godfather.
You know? But yeah, I played orderlies. I played a lot of mafia bosses, dons, of course the henchmen many a times, prisoners. I've been I got to tell what the hell's his name? Son of a gun.
Donnie Wahlberg or Mark Wahlberg?
Well, Mark Wahlberg. Yeah, I got to talk shit to him. That was funny. We became good friends. But was it? How was this? I don't know why I can't remember. Okay. Pretty Woman. Let's do the thing.
Richard Gere.
No, Pretty Woman's not Richard Gere. The woman.
Julia Roberts.
Her brother.
Eric.
Eric Roberts. There you go.
Great actor. Great actor.
Yeah, I did Crash with him first, and then we did the Warren Jeff Story Prophet. The Warren Jeff Prophet movie.
Nice.
And he played Warren Jeff, and he come to prison, and I was one of the prisoners that got to tell him that I was going to do terrible things to him at night. You know.
Oh, well,
Funny.
Did you do terrible things?
It was pretty bad.
Oh Lord.
In the script.
In the script, of course.
Yeah. Well, yeah, of course.
Like I did this other movie with it was with Val Kilmer called Felon. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Stephen Dorff. And Stephen Dorff, I was a fan from childhood from this. I don't know if you remember that movie, The Gate.
It sounds familiar.
Actor.
So we're in a cell, in the Santa Fe prison. It's between takes, and he's sitting next to me, and I tell him, I was like, it's pretty crazy, man. He's like, what? Never did I think in 1,000 years that one day I'd end up in prison with the dude that's in one of my favorite movies from when I was 8 years old. And he turns out to be my bitch. And he looks at me, he's like, you saw The Gate? That was my first movie. He was all funny. Like, oh yeah, that was my shit, man. The Gate, come on now. And it's been really weird. My life has been a trip.
That's awesome.
I haven't taken it for granted.
You were you were in the movie MacGruber, right?
Yeah.
How did that happen? Because I'm a huge Will Forte fan. Like Last Man on Earth is one of
Same.
my favorite things. He's done SNL is obviously big, and MacGruber. Like, so how did you get in that one?
So, I'd say by my fifth or sixth movie and TV show here and there, I had been known in Hollywood now because I literally was the biggest Mexican in Hollywood. All the other actors were 5'8" and below, and if they wanted a big scary cholo, they had no other choice but to call me. So
Mm.
almost all the movies and TV shows after, like I said, the first 4 years of my acting, I would get calls from directors and producers themselves. I had a manager that really screwed up one of my roles. I got called by Marvel themselves because I was supposed to be in Spider-Man: Far From Home.
Mm.
Yeah,
Good movie. That's a
yeah,
bummer.
yeah. That's why at the end, that's the one where the ferry is split in half, right?
Yeah.
And at the end, um, uh,
Mm.
Batman's at the end of the extra scene, and you got Nacho from Better Call Saul shows up in prison. He's like,
Yep.
I'm gonna get you. But that was supposed to be me. But my manager screwed it up and didn't set up the tickets or nothing for me to get there that next Monday.
Mm.
Mm.
Bummer.
So, like, when you did MacGruber, did you work with Will Forte or no?
Oh yeah. I was there for the whole movie. So they needed two scary Mexican dudes, and one of my brothers by my tribe, his name's Douglas. He's 6'4", and I'm 6'3" ish, depending on what size shoes I wear. And so we're big dudes together, and they picked us to be the Culebra brothers, the Val Kilmer's Dieter
Mm.
von Kunt bodyguards. So yeah, that's how I did
Nice.
that movie. Yeah.
I love
And
that
they,
movie. Tate and I were
oh,
talking about what big fans we are of Will Forte last night too before we started talking to you, and I was like, I didn't even realize that Jesus was in that one.
yeah, no, me and Will partied, and we were at the after the movie party, the rap
Yeah.
party, and we were at this bar in Albuquerque, and we got so drunk, dude. We were breakdancing, we were battling breakdancing, and he tried to make out with me and shit. It was crazy, man. I was like, Will, you are wild, dog.
Dude, like Will, like I really love like his acting and everything. And like when I saw that you were in MacGruber, I was like, man, you're from a hit TV show like Better Call Saul and Breaking Bad, and then you're in MacGruber working with like a very talented actor, Will Forte. Like that's pretty lucky. That's like really cool.
Mhm.
Oh, and
That's
then
it.
two guns. Ooh, two guns, man. Wahlberg, Denzel Washington, James Edward Olmos, Bill Paxton. The list goes on.
That's a
Man,
great
like
cast.
Bill Paxton, like aliens and stuff like that, and
Mhm.
Twister.
Weird
Me
Man,
and
Science.
I got along with Bill Paxton really well. We ended up getting drunk together one night. You noticing a pattern here? But yeah, he would keep a bottle of Crown Royal with them. Every time I saw him, he had one of those. You want a drink? I'm like, oh yeah. One time we were in the crafty van, where they were taking us back to our hotel after a long day of shooting, and he busted out, and he's like, here, take a drink. He's like, let me see some of them pictures, and I show him my cloud pictures. I've been taking pictures forever, and we're drinking, I'm showing them pictures, and the lady union driver, she's like, hey, you guys can't be drinking in here. No, you can't be. That's against the law. I'll get in trouble. And he goes, calm down, calm down. It's all right, honey. I'm Bill Paxton. Ooh, we got something.
that's
Yeah.
that's hilarious.
He
Oh,
must have
dude.
been a funny guy, like a good hang, because he
Oh,
was he
dude.
was so funny in Aliens, which is one of my favorite sci-fi action movies of all time. So dark, and he
Weird
gets
science.
the biggest laughs in the movie from some of his lines.
Chet. Weird science.
Yeah, I mean, iconic, right?
Dude, and
Was he that funny in real life?
yeah, oh no, he was cool as hell, man.
Yeah.
just like all his characters, he's the same person, you
Mhm.
know, just depending on what the script says he has to do, but
Mhm.
same humor, everything. And he ends up, it turns out that he was from Albuquerque. He grew up in Albuquerque,
Oh
New Mexico.
wow.
His dad owned the Paxton Lumber Yard. And me and him were reminiscing about, because I used to party in Juarez, Mexico, a lot. And, during the weekends when I was younger, it was crazy back then too. And
Yeah.
he told me, he's like, man, I partied there too. What clubs did you go to? And I was like, oh, the Cave and the XO and all the Alive. And he was like, oh man, I used to go there too. One time I was doing the walkover bridge and I got caught with an ounce of cocaine. Man, my daddy was mad. It's
Oh man. Sounds like a wild dude.
you know. But yeah, no, he was cool as hell. I've met some really interesting people. Really, like it's wild. Like I got to, remember Tommy Davidson from In Living Color?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so I get a phone call and it's his manager and says, "Hey, Tommy's coming into Albuquerque and he wants to know if you want to hang out or something." I'm like, "Sure." So he was meet him at the Hooters, in town. I was like, okay, so I go to Hooters and
Stay
show
classy,
up, and
Tommy.
you know, and we do the Hooters hot wing contest. Apparently, they're having that night, so we do, burn the hell out of our mouths, and he does his show. We hang out after the show, and then I head out and go home. About 3 o'clock in the morning, I get a phone call. And it's Tommy. And I'm like, "What's going on, man? It's early, And he's like, "Man, the promoter that did the show, that threw the show, he kept all my money. He didn't pay me. He won't. I've been banging on his door at the hotel, and he won't answer the door. He was, I'm not a punk, man. I'm not a punk. He was pissed. He's like, I'm not a punk. And I was like, dude, I don't think you're a punk. Calm down. He's like, well, what are we gonna do, man? And I was like, well, I'll give you. You got two options, pretty much. All right. So, first option would be I come over, you show me which door it is. I kick in the door. I'll get your money, maybe a little extra for you. But you got to be ready to have to post bond. We're going to go to jail. But that dude, you ain't no punk. Or charge it to the game and never deal with that dude again.
Let it go.
Bad business. Up to you. I'm putting on my boots right now.
I like your first option, man.
And he goes, well, you know, just because I don't want, my homie, I don't want you going to jail, bro. Just, so I say, fuck you, let's just charge it to the game. And I was like, good idea.
choice.
Talk to you tomorrow, okay? Good night, man.
That's a
it's
chapter in your book. Your
man.
memoirs. That alone, right there.
Seriously.
It's been a bunch of weird times. Like, okay, here's a good story. I think it's interesting. There's times. Your time still?
Yeah.
Okay. So you know who Lemmy is from Motorhead?
Oh, Lemmy
yeah.
Killmeister. Yeah.
All right. So one night I'm working at a strip club in El Paso, Texas, and a door girl comes up to me and she goes, hey, Jesus, there's this weird little English cowboy at the door asking for me. And I was like, what? She was like, no, really. He's dressed in all black, has white stars everywhere, and a big old wart right there. She's a big old hairy sideburn. Now I'm just curious, you know what I mean? So I go to the front, and I look, and sure enough, there's this little crazy looking old cowboy with big old side chops and a big old wart and white stars on his black leather outfit, right? And I walk up and I was like, how can I help you? I'm Jesus. And he looks at me and he's like, you're Jesus. I'm like, yeah, Jesus, Jesus, whatever. Pass it out. I found bleeding Jesus at a strip club. He's just cracking up, right? And I'm like, come on in, man. And I hadn't realized that there was a big ass, tour bus out in our parking lot. And we go to the bar. And he sits down by the poker machine at the bar, and he starts playing the machine. He's not talking to the girls. Nothing, right? I'm like, this is weird. So I go sit down next to him. I was like, so what's your story, bro? You know? He's like, well, just taking a break. And I was like, what do you do for a living? He's like, well, I'm a musician. I've been doing it for like 30 years now. I was like, dude, that's got to be awesome, man. Get to do what you love. He's like, I'm just paying bills now. Just paying bills. And I was like, oh, damn. I was like, so take it you're from England? And he was like, yeah. And I told him about how I was raised in England. And so we're telling our stories and shit. And I have no idea who he is, because back then, this is the year 2000-ish. I had never seen a Motorhead video. I heard him before on the radio and shit, you know what I mean? But I'd never seen him,
You know what they look like.
No,
Yeah.
so he tells me, he invites me to go on party with him on their bus. And I was like, dude, it's only 11 o'clock. I don't get off till 4. Appreciate it, though. Good looking out. And I was like, I'll let the girls know, see who wants to go. It's like, okay, dude. So yeah, I sent them on their way. And a few days later, I'm at home and I'm watching MTV when they still had music on it. And it was Headbangers Ball.
Nice.
And the dude, the VJ, whatever, his sleeve tattoos and what was his name? No, his name
Ricky
wasn't
Ratman?
Yeah. He made his hair short. Just had cut his hair short.
Ricky Ratman, I think. Yeah. He had a strip club too in LA, I think.
Yeah. So he's introducing his first guest, and he was all, I'd like to introduce my first guest. He's the Prince of Darkness. It's Ozzy Osbourne, and Ozzy comes out, down, and he's asking Ozzy some questions, and he's all, so Ozzy, your fans want to know, what does the Prince of Darkness listen to in his car? Right? And I was listening, well, he's one of my good friends, it's Lemmy Motorhead, right? And they're like, that's right, bring out Lemmy from Motorhead. That was the surprise guest. It was him. And he comes out, and I'm like,
that's the guy.
Dude. That's the little dude. Telling my cousin Ruben, I was like, dude. And he was like, sure, Jesus.
That's awesome. I believe you, because I don't know if you've seen that documentary about Lemmy and Motorhead. It's really good. But apparently he used to hang out at the Rainbow Room on the Sunset Strip and play that poker video game all the time. Like that's all he would do is drink Jack Daniels and play that game.
So then get this though. Go ahead, sorry.
No, I was gonna say, because I lived in Ventura, California for 4 years, and I was only a few hours from LA, so I would go to LA, and I only went to one show at the Roxy, which is right next door to the Rainbow Room. Right. I've been to the Rainbow Room a few times, and that place is sweet. Like Led Zeppelin used to go there all the time. Lemmy, Motley Crue.
Oh yeah, Poison.
Oh yeah, dude.
Guns N' Roses.
So check this out. In 2012, I go back to LA, and I'm living in LA, right? And I just moved back, and I'm looking for work. So when I'm out in some big city and I need work, all I got to do is dress in all black and walk up to strip clubs. I just ask for manager. They ain't even got to ask me, unless I'm going to do the DJ. I want to do a DJ thing instead. Just depends on the club, But so I'm walking in. I'm going to the Cheetah Club. You've heard of the Cheetah Club, right? So I'm walking into the Cheetah Club, and all these people are pouring out, And I'm like, oh, get out the way. And then this one dude smacked right into my chest. Kind of bounces off of me. And I look down, and he looks up at me, and he goes, Jesus. I was like, Lenny? He's like, Jesus, Lenny. And he was like, hold on. Why is it every time I see you, it's at a strip club? And I was like, I could ask you the same question.
That's right.
He was like, good point. Later, bro. And he takes off, and he climbed into like a 1994 green Blazer, and just whoever picked him up, just there it go.
That's amazing. I got a question for you guys, since you lived in LA. I don't know. I think you might have been there around that time. I've been when I lived in California, in Ventura and in LA. I've seen her a few times. She has this like hot pink Corvette, and she wears like a really short skirt that's pink. Her like blouse is pink. She has a really pink hair. She's like some. She's a celebrity. I know that for a fact, but I don't know her name. Do you guys know who I might be talking about?
A misconnection here, Tate.
Old
Like,
lady? Is she an old lady or no?
well, like she looks old. I never like went up and talked to her, but I'm trying to figure out.
She had the pink pointy glasses and had a mole right there. We're always pink. And everything.
No, it's. I can't remember her name.
Her name Barbie or
Yeah, she looks like a Barbie.
right, right. Then you're not talking about Paris Hilton.
No, no, nobody like that. I'm trying to look her up. Oh, it's this chick.
Ooh.
Oh, hold on. I got my blur on my screen. So
Right. I was like, oh, she seems blurry. I can't see her face
she has it
now.
covered for some reason, but that's her.
Oh, the one with the big giant dress. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. She's in the plastic surgery weird club. Okay, yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
yeah. I've seen her a couple times living in California. I'm like,
You can't look away. It's like seeing a car accident. You're like, oh.
I, I saw her walking into a Vaughn's one time and then outside of a Ralph's on Sunset Boulevard before. I'm like, that's hilarious.
She was behind me in that Corvette, and I brake checked her, and all you saw was two giant lips stuck to the windshield. You
It's so true though.
know? Just kidding.
Oh man. Well, I mean, it's been a great conversation tonight. I think we've had, you know, we've had fun, and
Or-
you know, Jesus, I appreciate you coming on, taking some time to do this kind of last minute because I called you like 2 days ago, more or less, or what, yesterday, what something like that.
What was last night?
This is pretty. It's funny. I have this routine. You always know where I'm calling you from when I call you randomly. It's usually from a hot tub.
The hot tub time machine, you know?
Yeah, like every time I call somebody, like you call from the hot tub. I'm like, how'd you know?
Right? 'Cause I'm gonna make plans for the future from my hot tub time machine. Hey, Jesus, what are you doing tomorrow?
That's exactly what happened. And then I called Richard like right after. I was like, hey, I'm doing this. You want to do it? So
I'm just glad I answered the phone because I was like it's eight o'clock or something like that. But
Always happy
yeah.
to do it, you know?
heck
It was
yeah.
so cool to meet you, and Tate's a good guy to know. You know, he invited me on that trip, which was awesome and great memories, and then got to talk to you both tonight. So thanks for having me, Tate.
Hit me up and I'll tell you some wild shit, man.
That sounds good. Yeah, Jesus, incredible to meet you. Great stories.
All right, well, guys, thank you for hanging out and doing this again. And till next time, see you later.